Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. We're excited to have you and to introduce you to Beth Fynbo of busybaby.com. I'm so excited to talk with her today, not only because, she's been on Shark Tank, but because she gives us something that works anywhere with our kiddo when we're out in public. Who needs that? And more importantly, my favorite topic, her dad. Her dad was a veteran and an entrepreneur, and you know how much I love to talk to kids of entrepreneurs. Let's get into the show. Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you. Beth, welcome. We're so excited to have you.
Hello, Beth.
Thank you for having me. Hi. Beth, I like to start the show every single time the same way. Tell me, how would you finish the sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
You know you're an entrepreneur when you feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster all day, every day. You feel like you finally have things figured out, and then you come up against a new challenge and you have no clue what to do. And you feel like, what am I even doing here? Who am I to be doing this? You said something about me being an expert in something. I'm like, oh my God, I don't feel like I'm an expert in anything at all.
Oh man, I love that though, because that is the journey. Like it's trying to figure that out, at least to be the expert of your business. Who was the last person you worked for? Or you don't have to name names, but what was the last thing you did for someone else?
Yeah, I worked for a healthcare company, and I was kind of like a liaison between the healthcare company and the Mayo Clinic, which is like a huge healthcare facility.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Wow.
So it was a lot of like managing relationships. I had my bosses of my company, and then I had my bosses at the Mayo Clinic that, I kind of had to keep happy, and trying to keep other people happy is not my jam.
Yeah. I had 17 bosses at least at one time in my life. Yeah, it's rough. Although now they look like customers, right? So that's so interesting to me that it wasn't in product development. I thought you might have said, well, I produced a couple of products before. So you're just figuring it all out.
That's what I found interesting.
I did zero of the things in my previous life that I've had to do in this business. I was in the military for 10 years myself. And then I went to school and got a corporate job working behind a computer. So did nothing with product development, nothing with e-commerce sales, nothing with marketing, nothing with babies, nothing, none of the things. It's all been learning for me.
Oh, okay. So wait, are you a mom?
I'm a mom now. That's what started this whole thing.
So, okay, what do you do? What businesses do you own?
Okay, so my business name is Busy Baby. The story of how I came up with the name is driving in the car with my son who hated being in the car unless I was singing to him. And so he was crying in the car seat. I was trying to what am I going to do to keep you busy, baby? And that became the name of the company. It was not taken, and here we are. The quick short story is I was working a corporate job and then had my first son when I turned 40. So I was kind of an older first-time mom, had a little bit of disposable income. And so when I had my son, I was all about buying anything that would make my life easier with a baby. I just want to make life easier. It's hard enough to be a mom. Like any tool that's going to make it easier, I'm going to buy. And so when I went back to work after maternity leave, a couple of my stay-at-home mom friends took me out for lunch, and they brought their daughters. And the entire lunch, they dropped everything. You pick it up, you wipe it down, they drop it again. They're grabbing everything on the table. And so I immediately went on Amazon to find something that I could buy. So when my son was old enough, he wouldn't be that distraction. And that's what started this whole thing. There wasn't anything that would be both a clean surface for food or keep his toys off the ground. So I invented a placemat that suctions to the table and is a place for the food, and you can attach their toys so they don't fall to the ground. And we now make a line of products to keep babies' things off the floor.
Man, I'll tell you, the business ideas that happen over lunch, right, Matt?
Yes, we've had, I don't know how many people come on this show and talk about lunch. Nicole, we need to be doing lunch more often is what I think.
And what year were you doing all of this? Because you got to go hang out with friends out in public.
So Christian was born in 2017. So that's when I kind of had the initial idea. It took me about 6 months of cutting and gluing things together. And this was not going to be a business. I was just making a solution for myself and my best friend who had a baby at the same time. And then when my friend reached out to me and she said, oh my gosh, I forgot that mat thing that you made last night. And it was a nightmare. I didn't realize how much I needed this thing until I didn't have it. That's when I decided to try and start this for real. So in 2018, I hired product developers to help me take that idea and make it into something real. And then in 2019 is when we sold our first.
Incredible. And where were you selling them? Online?
I'd started a website, and then I was setting up a booth. I was setting up a pop-up tent at any festival, any expo, anywhere there was going to be people.
Oh, and you said goodbye to all that corporate stuff.
I did not. No.
Oh, wow.
No, I worked the corporate job for 3 years.
Okay.
while building the business.
Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. Wow.
So you were still working in the corporate world. As you stated, you had probably a little bit more, I don't want to say disposable income, but you had the ability to capitalize your product development. Take me through the journey real quick on finding that product development team. What's entailed with that? How does that happen? I mean, did you automatically outsource, internationally? All that stuff is where my brain's going, because that's such a fascinating thing that I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs understand,
Yeah. I mean, I think every entrepreneur, everybody who has a great product idea has the idea. And then they get to a spot where like, what do I do next? So my what do I do next, when my friend was like, you need to make this thing for real, is I actually started an entrepreneurship course through Bunker Labs, which is an organization that helps veterans and their families who want to start businesses. And through that, I learned how to validate the idea so that I would know if moving forward was even worth spending money. Then I went to an industry event. So I went to the Toy Fair in New York City and I walked down the infant and baby aisle and I talked to the other entrepreneurs there to figure out, what do I do next? And so that's where I learned you need to hire a product developer. And I got recommendations from the people that had their own booths. Like there was another mom inventor who was on her third product, just like me. And so she said, you should hire a product developer. And then I talked to another company, Baby Banana, which is a very well-known teething toy company. And they said, we have a great product developer. We'll make the introduction if you'd like. And they did. And that started the whole ball rolling.
So you did market research before you just went and started spending money, is what I hear. Wow. Nicole is very happy with that. Trust me.
I always say I don't have to be right. I just have to be listening as a marketer. I don't have to be right. It's refreshing. They don't have to have all the right answers. You just have to be listening. That's awesome. So when someone tells you have to hire a product developer, my mind instantly goes to finances, though. I was an older mom, too. They call this AMA, which I used to joke, are you sure? I think it's OLD. And then the nurses would look and they'd get all confused. It was great.
Oh, they told me I was a geriatric pregnancy.
Yes.
Oh
Yes. That
gosh.
line, too, was
geriatric.
So tell me, even though there may be a few extra bucks in our pockets when we're older moms, hiring a product developer still sounds, enormous. So tell me, what was that like?
Yeah, I had gotten a few estimates and all the numbers were crazy. And there was different types of offers. There was some that were willing to help me out for a % of equity in the company.
That's what I was waiting for.
Yeah, it seemed appealing at first, but then I was like, who knows what this could become? I'm kind of the one still doing most of the work. I don't like the ambiguity of it. So the product development company that I landed on had a very, very clear proposal. And it was 3 phases: ideation phase, and then kind of like a more development phase, and then an actual like get ready for production phase. Each phase had its own cost, and you pay half up front and half the completion. So when they gave me that proposal and I calculated how much I'm going to need to come up with up front, and I want to say it was like $2,800 or something to come up with up front. I also had just gotten my tax return done. It was within dollars. It was so close to being the same amount that I thought it was like a sign from the universe that I should use this money for that. So that got me started. And now we're talking, 1/6 of the total cost. So what I actually ended up doing was a couple of things. I did business competitions and pitch competitions. In that first 2 years, I ended up winning over $100,000 in free money.
Wow. Congratulations.
Yep. It's kind of cool because, this was only 4 years ago. And this year, I'm actually a judge for the competition where I won $100,000.
Oh, my goodness.
You're
You're like
cool.
their
It's kind
Kelly
of cool.
Clarkson. Yeah, you're like their Kelly Clarkson. You get to come back to the show.
Just like her.
Just like her.
exactly.
I knew it.
Same story. Or the ring guy that was on Shark Tank, that
Yes.
didn't get a
Yeah.
deal and then came
Yeah.
back and got to
Came
be
back.
Shark.
Yes.
That's
The
awesome.
best. I'm just like that. So I did competitions and I did multiple and won money each step of the way. I won a pitch competition that gave me $5,000 and it came just in time to get started on my first mold. Then I did another pitch competition that helped, with the first down payment for inventory. It was scraping along.
Yeah.
And then I also used probably every resource in Southern Minnesota for small business development. So there's, economic development centers.
Yeah.
And then they have SBA loans that they can distribute that are backed by the SBA. So I had 2 no interest, no payment loans. They were 18-month long. That gave me money to get started and I didn't have to start paying it back for 18 months. And then I sold a car and used my savings and whatever was left at the end of each month after daycare and expenses and all that kind of stuff. I just kept finding more opportunities to pitch, get in front of people, get free money.
Yeah.
Cheap loans, stuff like that.
Where was the
Wow.
break point at where you decided to quit your corporate job and just go all in, so to speak?
Shark Tank. Once I knew I was going to be airing on Shark Tank, I had already grown the business, pretty well. I think we were at close to 400,000 in sales
Wow.
by the time I filmed Shark Tank. And by the time I actually aired, we were close to 1 million. And so I knew once we got national exposure, things would probably pick up. And I was really scared to leave the corporate job. I had health benefits and a steady paycheck all through the military, through this
Right.
corporate job. I didn't have to deal with, supporting myself, and healthcare benefits as an entrepreneur sucked.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to deal with it. And I liked the stability of the corporate life. And it was my fallback plan. If this little business idea, if I screw it up or it doesn't work, I'm still getting that paycheck.
And what year was that?
So I quit the job in 21.
Okay.
21.
Okay. Well, yeah. So all your fears are, completely reasonable.
Yeah.
It's one thing to
yeah.
take a calculated risk. It's another thing as like the world coming out of the craziest time of its life. And your product by design is meant to be social. Yes, it can be at home, but the beauty is that your kids, whatever, isn't falling on the dirty restaurant floor because you're out with
Yeah,
friends. And it was a weird
exactly. And with the timing of the pandemic for me was really rough because we launched in 2019, but because I was launching online, I didn't have retail packaging or anything. I'm just sending out in a poly bag.
Right.
So my next step was then to go retail. And so I had, over the course of 2019, produced retail packaging and ordered the products. In January of 2020 is when I got my first shipment of retail ready products. I was due with baby number 2. I was 43 and baby 2 was born January 31st. And so my plan, I thought this was perfect, is I will have my baby and then I have 3 months maternity leave. And so I will use that time to take my newly retail packaged products and load up my car and go to every single store and restaurant within driving range and get my product out there. And as we all know what happened, the restaurant shut down, stores shut down. There was no need for a product for restaurants.
Yeah.
So I did start getting feedback right away from the customers I already had of how Matt ended up being so useful at home. Because, now everybody's at home. You need to keep the baby busy while you're doing a quick Zoom call for work or homeschooling the other kids. And so parents were just raving about how great it was to have that extra 20 to 30 minutes of attaching some toys and keeping the baby busy while they're doing something else. And so we just shifted. All of our marketing went to social media and showing all the ways to use the mat at home.
Wow.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have to know more of your story. What in the world gave you the confidence for all of this?
I would say my dad. And I know you're excited about my dad. My dad is a welder. He'll never retire. And so he started his own welding shop when I was a kid. And I remember going there at 3 years old and sweeping the floors, having break time with all his employees up in the break room. And it was my first job. I was mowing lawns there and doing, cleanup and simple jobs. And able to see him build and grow that business. And within that welding business, he had some sub businesses, little niche things that would come up that he became a professional at and got very successful with. My mom had a regular job. She had like a 9-to-5 regular job. And my dad had this entrepreneurial thing where he worked way, way harder than my mom, but he was way happier. He loved it. He's always loved it. Even when it's hard, even when he's complaining about a horrible job in the heat or whatever, it's his baby. He's in charge of the success and the failure, and it's all on him. And that's the way he likes it. Where my mom had a boss she didn't like, had hours she was stuck with. And so I guess just seeing that, I always knew someday I wanted to have my own business. I didn't know what. And one thing my dad always said was, if you don't have passion for your business or what you're doing, you're not going to make it, because there's always times where it gets really, really hard. And if you're not passionate about it, you're just going to quit. You're not going to get through that or turn it around. And because I didn't have anything I was super passionate about when I was done with high school, other than not going to college, I ended up joining the Army. And so now we go to phase 2 of my life in the military, 10 years active duty, living and working in 14 different countries, deployments, so many amazing experiences that when you're in the military, you train. Of course, there's tons of training. But when you get to the real life scenarios, the training doesn't apply or doesn't work out just right. You can't quit. Like, you have to just figure it out. So when I went to Iraq and I was a broadcaster, my camera equipment got just destroyed by a dust storm. Like, I can't just go back to the station and get a different camera. You can't just get new equipment. you have to figure it out and figure out how to move forward and adapt and overcome. There's no like, this didn't work. Oh, well.
Yeah.
So I think between the example my dad set and then the way I was shaped by the military for 10 years, when I got to entrepreneurship, there was no like, oh, this is hard or that didn't work as I thought it would. I guess I'm done or whatever. I mean, it was just like, oh, here's a new challenge. How am I going to go around this wall or over this wall? And it's kind of fun.
I love that.
So
First of all,
that's-
can I just say thank you so much for your service? Because while I caught that in your bio about your dad, I'm most interested in talking to the kids of entrepreneurs, which is you. So I know you're like, I know you're excited about my dad. I am. I had a dad similar to yours, but it's always what becomes of us, those kids of entrepreneurs, that whether it's grandparents, like Matt had grandparents that he got to see up close and personal, they're just something that I see. I don't know if we can bottle it or teach it or what we can do, but we can make sure that we pass it down to at least our kids, that I hope becomes more of a forefront of a conversation, because kids do tend to see that they're always figuring it out. And then you got to experience that on this whole other level. So thank you again for your service.
I have to tell you a quick story about this.
Yeah.
So Christian, my first baby, is now 6. And he's really into watching do-it-yourself arts and crafts things on YouTube. This past weekend, we hosted a camping kind of thing at our house. We live in the country. We have lots of space. So a bunch of friends brought their campers and everybody hung out for the weekend. Christian set up a store inside of our little camper for arts and crafts. And he created signs that led people to the store. He had a thing on the door. And when you go in, he brought all of his arts and crafts supplies from the house into the camper and set up a do-it-yourself arts and crafts store. And, you know, he said, if you have any questions, you can just ask the workers. And if you have a big project and you get tired, there's a bed back there. You can take a nap. It's okay. And then he put the close sign on the door at the end of the day. And then the next morning, he came in the house with a basket and said he was restocking.
Oh,
Okay.
Wow.
But I need to restock because the kids, you know, I run this company now with my brother and we have 6 kids between us and we bring them to work all the time.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So they're breaking down cardboard. They're helping fill orders. They're helping restock. For my son, it was just like the most fun time to have his make-believe store. And he had so many like business elements in.
Mhm.
Like he had hot pink construction paper with arrows drawn on it, and he placed them on the ground every 10 feet leading to the camper.
Yes.
Like that was his marketing, was they're going to see the hot pink signs and they're going to see
Yes.
the arrows and wonder
Yeah.
where it's going, and they'll follow it to my store.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
Oh,
already
Wow.
there at 6 years old.
That's
Yeah.
It's
awesome.
already
It's,
got it.
it happened so early. I love it. Yeah. The
Yeah.
confidence that you get.
I want to come back to something though real quick, because you mentioned something, and this is an interesting take, because I don't think we've ever had anybody on the show to this point in time who's ever mentioned their military service and how it helped shape them and prepare them for entrepreneurship. Like you said, you didn't really think I could quit that easily and things like that. Do you think a lot of people who are in the military view their service as, you know, preparation for the real business world? I've known a lot of vets, and I don't necessarily know that they look at their experience as this molding and shaping for them to go into entrepreneurship, you know, but that's fascinating that it did it for you.
I think vets are the best entrepreneurs and the best employees that people could find. And it's because we've done all this. And I would say most are very humble about it or don't even realize it. Like you just do what you're told. You know, the whole time you're going through basic training, they're yelling at you, telling you what to do. And then you go through your, you know, technical training and you learn and you do what you're supposed to do. And then they tell you where to move and where to live and what your schedule is going to be. And you're doing what you're told. But the entire time you're learning discipline, you're learning how to learn, because I would say 99% of the people in the military didn't know their job until they learned it through the military. And so the ability to learn and execute is actually a skill. Like not everybody can just learn something completely out of the blue new, like here's how to program a satellite, whatever. But you learn it and then you do it, and that's your job. And you learn to always accomplish the mission. It's embedded in you to help those around you. Just because you finish your task doesn't mean you're done. It means now you help who's next to you finish their task. So it's great for learning teamwork. There's so many things ingrained in you that you don't even realize. And I think unless someone is really good at self-reflection and really, you know, has an ego big enough to be able to claim like, yes, I'm a brilliant learner. I'm a great teammate. You know, a lot of people in the military are not going to say I'm great at all these things, but they really, really are. Really
That's
are.
interesting. That it actually makes sense as you broke it down. And the fact that you're not going to necessarily hear that from every vet because they tend to be humble or they don't tend to talk about their service and stuff. So fascinating that you were introspective and reflective enough to figure that out?
I've had to learn how to, because obviously when I was on Shark Tank, I said I was in the service, and then now there's comments on videos and stuff. And for me, and a lot of people I know, it's very uncomfortable when people say thank you for your service. When I joined the military, my initial reason to join was to get the heck out of Minnesota. I wasn't going to serve my country. I wasn't going to do some, super patriotic thing that people should be thanking me for. I was doing it to get money for college and get out of Minnesota. It became something much more and much bigger, and I stayed in for other reasons. And now I have this immense sense of pride for our country. But that wasn't there as an 18, 19-year-old high school kid that just wanted to do something different.
Right.
So when we get thanked for our service, I try to use the response, thank you for the support, because you're welcome. I mean, I don't really know what to say. I was doing it for my own benefit.
Right.
You don't need to thank me. But in the end, yes, I did step up. I took the risk. I did the deployments. Things that people who didn't join the military didn't do, but it's always just feels weird. And so I think a lot of veterans feel that way.
Yeah. See, Matt, you didn't have to go to law school to learn how to learn and strategize.
Yeah.
You could have just, taken a few deployments.
I had a lot of friends who, after law school, went into the military because they have
Get the law school paid for.
Exactly. Those JAG officers really do like getting their law school loans paid. Trust me. So
yeah.
What I want to shift to now, and I don't know how much we can delve into it, is your experience with Shark Tank, and just a quick story or whatever you can share about it. And,
of life after. Yes. Of life after, for sure.
Kind of like the boom, when the match got struck, and then where did it go from there?
Oh, if it was only that explosive. I thought that's what it would be. I thought it'd be boom, everything's going to explode. It'd be amazing. It's life-changing. It was a great marketing event. It was a great 6-week marketing event that now just is something that makes me more interesting in a conversation. I actually got on the show by accident. So that's a fun little story where when I was part of Bunker Labs, just starting to figure out my business, the show had reached out to the organization looking for veterans to feature that season. I was nowhere near ready. I didn't even have a prototype. And so I just took the producer's email and I put it in I think it might have still been my Yahoo email account. And then fast forward a year and now I'm launching the first product and I blasted everyone in my email. By then I had a kind of a Gmail. I was way more professional with the Gmail.
This is awesome.
I still am very professional with my Gmail account. But I blasted everything. So probably old high school boyfriends and whatever. Everybody got an email. I totally forgot that I had the Shark Tank producer's email in there and he responded. And so that started actually a 2-year conversation that ended up with me getting on the show. So I didn't apply and go to an open casting call or anything like most people do. I still had to go through a bunch of the steps to get on the show and do an audition video and everything like that. But I kind of had a direct line to a producer from the get-go. So I filmed during the pandemic. So it was 2020. And that year, instead of flying to, Hollywood or LA, wherever they do it, and getting to sightsee and be at Universal Studios or wherever, we were quarantined in the Venetian in Vegas. So I flew in, got escorted to my room, and stayed in that room for 8 days. So I could open my door to get my room service and put my tray outside my door. Could not leave the room.
Do-over. We need a do-over.
Oh, man.
Honestly,
this is not as glamorous as I was thinking.
So it gets more glamorous because now if you're me in 2020, I had at that time an 8-month-old baby and a 3.5-year-old toddler. And for 8 days, I didn't have to wipe any butts, deal with any crying and whining, pick up after anyone, deal with people not eating their food.
Oh my gosh.
I instead got room service 3 times a day, didn't have to wash a single dish, got to sleep all the hours in a row that my body wanted to sleep in a row. So it was kind of like a really great mom vacation where I just got to focus on my business, have some me time, and be catered to. It was actually pretty amazing. So I don't need the do-over. I'm happy with how that went.
Okay. Wow.
That might make one of my takeaways today, Matt. I'm just saying. So we have kids about the same age. My guy was 2017 and then August 2020. So they're really, really close. And for only 24 hours, I was stuck in New York. I had mastermind business stuff out there. But then that night, everything got canceled. For a full 24 hours, I was stuck in New York. And I got to sleep and I got to go anywhere I wanted. It's great. I did all the things.
Without thinking about keeping anyone else alive or having the diapers and the snacks and everything on you. And it was fantastic.
Yeah. So tell me about a time that you were distracted in your business. Maybe there was shiny objects coming at you, squirrels, something that you just had to work through
So I don't know how much of a distraction it is because I am very focused. I'm very determined, stubborn, tenacious. Like I'm going to grow and sell this business and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
But what was kind of distracting and hard was bringing in my brother. So I did this for 3 years by myself and got the first product to market, got the first sales. And then actually while I was at the Venetian for my 8 days, practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing my pitch, because that's all there really was to do. Of course, I had my brother that I would FaceTime and I would practice it, rehearse for him and he could give me feedback. And it was just good to have somebody else watching. And so then I joked with him that, once this was over and everything like took off, I was going to need help because it was still just me. And I said, you should sell your house and bring your camper to my house and quit your job and the kids can help and your wife can help and you could help me run this business because I'm at the point I need to hire someone and I need to hire someone who is smart enough and capable enough that it would be like a 6-figure role. Like I need to hire someone with experience. And he had experience. He was also in the military. And then at the time, he was running Dick's Sporting Goods. He was the store leader up for district promotion. So he's working with big teams, running massive amounts of volume and revenue. So he also didn't know anything whatsoever about the direct-to-consumer product baby market. But I trust him, completely. Right. We complement each other. Like what he's good at, I'm not good at, vice versa. So I thought it's going to be a no-brainer. I at first joked about it. And then a couple of weeks later, we decided to make the move. And so he's got 4 kids. His wife manages the house and the kids. So he's the sole, money in guy. And at the time, I was still working my job. And if this business failed, I was going to be fine. I still had my job. But now with my brother quitting his job and the lives of my nieces and nephews weighing on the success of this business, because now that's his sole income. Mm-hmm. When it sounded fun and easy at first, it got really, really hard. And so that became a distraction because while we do complement each other well, he didn't have any experience in this and he learns and operates different than me. And we had to figure that all out. And we still have times where we have to figure out, we're starting a new product line. We're taking our products right now and adapting them for aging and disabled markets. That's going to be a separate business. And so I kind of put him on that. Like, can you figure out who we need to talk to, physical therapists, occupational therapists? Let's start adapting our products. And that's not how he operates. He's an executor. I'm a visionary. And so he needs something to execute, not just this kind of we got to figure out how to do this. Let's come up with our ideas. That's something I'm more suited for. And so, I've been waiting for him for weeks. Like, where are you at with this, new company? And he's like, it's just so overwhelming. It's every time I get to it, it's hard. And I'm thinking he's not doing anything. He doesn't care.
Right.
And it's it's just because we're very different. And so this morning, just before this call, we figured out, okay, you know what? That's not a role that's suited very well to him and how he operates and functions. That's a better role for me. So we're just going to switch some duties around. And, it's just learning how to work together. And when it's family, it's so much more complicated because if it was an employee who was doing a bad job, I could just say, you're not meeting expectations. Mm-hmm. But the last thing I want to do is hurt my brother by saying, dude, you're kind of sucking at the job right now.
Right.
I don't want to hurt his feelings. I want to support him. And so it's a balance and it's a distraction. I still wouldn't have it any other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did you guys, any tools or resources that you would tell either family to work through, whether it's a book resource or a website, anything like that, or even if it's just partners that are working together? Somebody on the show before, Matt, we can link the show, Brian Clayton, I remember saying to us that if you're going to grab a partner, and I think there's 3, right? There's 3 of them, Matt, right? There's 3 partners. And he was like, make sure that's somebody that you could just hand them $1 million. Like if you could feel great about handing that to them and they could run with it. And then if you can't, that's to him, that was the litmus test. So are there any resources or even mantras like that? Something that you would share with somebody listening that's considering working with a partner or collaborating in a meaningful way?
We have a practice that has been very helpful. So if you're already in this business with this partner and you were excited about it and it's not quite working as you thought, we do something, we call it a retreat, and we do it every 6 weeks, no fail. It's on the calendar. It doesn't matter what's going on. It's happening every 6 weeks and it has the same agenda every time. And at the end of our first year, it proved to be really, really beneficial. So what we do is we have this time and we go somewhere else. It started out, we used to go to just a hole in the wall bar and order a bar pizza and a couple beers and go through this agenda. Sometimes we incorporate a lot of planning stuff. So we need to like go rent a conference room somewhere that's got a big whiteboard. Or we've done it before in like a casino hotel room where we can just get real comfortable, be in our sweats and go through this agenda. But the agenda is this. What are we celebrating since the last retreat? List off everything that's gone really well in the last 6 weeks. Then it's what lessons did we learn this last 6 weeks? What did we think was going to work out and didn't? Or, what didn't go as we planned or what just kind of sucks? And then we list right now what doesn't feel right or doesn't feel good. We don't necessarily try to come up with a solution. We're just putting it out there. For us, for a long time, it was retail. Do we want to go big box? Do we not? Do we want to put in the effort of that or not? Like we're starting the process. It just doesn't feel right. And so then ultimately we decided we're not going to go big box. It's not a fit for us. But it took, I think, 5 retreats in a row of like having that icky feeling out there, talking through it, whatever. Then we do goal setting for the next 3 6-week periods where first coming 6 weeks, we get really detailed and this is what we need and want to accomplish in this period. Then the next 6 weeks is probably going to be these main topics. And then the following third 6 weeks is going to be, just maybe 2 general things. And then we just do a quick review of expenses, finances, profit and loss. So we're on the same page. We both know where everything is. But being able to have these conversations about what was successful, what did we learn, what feels icky, allows us to also understand where each other feels about those things, get on the same page, and have that more open communication that is not something that we need to figure out, how am I going to broach this topic? It's part of the agenda. So if I have something on my mind that I just don't know how to bring it up or talk about it, I save it for the retreat. And then at the retreat, we know we're going to talk about what feels icky. And sometimes there's hard conversations, but we always come out of them because we love each other, support each other. We both want this to succeed. We work through it.
How did you come up with every 6? Yeah,
I
how
was
did you
like,
come up with
that's
every 6 weeks? That's really smart.
Yeah, 1 month was too soon, and every quarter was too much time. I think we just kind of fell into the 6-week thing, and it just worked out. There was a couple of times where we let excuses push the meeting. Like last fall, maybe like Q4 got real busy, and we're like, there's some big major topics we need to worry about right now. Let's push it. And then when we got to it, it's like, yeah, we should have had our retreat when we were supposed to. And the really, really great thing, so year 1, when Eric came on with me, he knew nothing about this industry, about this business. And I took at the end of his first year, all of our retreat notes, like the previous 6 retreats, and I consolidated all of the things we were proud of. So everything we celebrated, I put it on a huge whiteboard. And when you look at all the celebrations across a 1-year period, broken down into 6-week chunks, you like, holy crap. Like, look at how far we came. Because, at the end of Q4, you're exhausted, you're burnt out, you're just like, oh, now we got to get ready for another year. But when you look at a whole year's worth of celebrations and look at how far, like that first year, we launched 3 new products. We went from having no brand packaging to a whole line of brand packaging that looked great. We grew from a single product company into a brand. He helped me accomplish that. And that gave him the confidence of like, okay, I am contributing, even though I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. And I feel the same way. I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. Everything that comes up, I learn it, I figure it out, I do my best to get it out there. And then when you look back at the end of the year, it's like, oh my God, like I really accomplished some things. And that keeps me motivated and proud of myself and proud of the business and strong.
Yeah. Not just the big things. Yeah, I love it.
So it's you, your brother, obviously kids when they need to get, their hands involved in the business. I love that. How big is the company now as far as personnel?
Yeah, we have part-time customer service on salary. We have a fulfillment gal who comes in 6 days a week and fills our orders. We hired a CMO who is technically a contractor, but like part of the team, and then a social media person who is on salary as well.
Wow.
So that's like your core team. And then we have contractors we work with and have another part-time fulfillment person who comes in when we get crazy busy.
So what happened after Shark Tank? What was life like after?
When Shark Tank aired, my dad was actually retiring from his commercial shop. And so we had a few containers of product delivered to my dad's welding shop that we grew up in, which was so cool, so surreal, because he's cleaning out and moving to a home shop. And then we're moving our business in temporarily for Shark Tank. We were ready for like 10,000 orders. We thought, this could be huge for us. This is going to be so life-changing. It's going to go viral instantly now that people are going to like see how handy this. That didn't happen. We did great. We did 6 weeks of sales in like 2 days.
Oh, wow.
It was a great response. We sold a ton of product. And then for the next 2 weeks, sales were still, higher than normal. And then after about 2 weeks, we settled in at a new normal that was just slightly higher than the old normal. I started getting comments on ads saying, you should go on Shark Tank. Every day, we still get comments saying, that's so smart. You should go on Shark Tank.
Wow.
Wow.
I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
should
Nobody
watch
knows
it.
we're on Shark
You
Tank.
should watch it more.
We get people who say, oh my God, I love Shark Tank. I watch every episode. I don't remember yours.
Oh, that doesn't feel good either. Probably.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we were at the very end of the episode. So,
No, they're not a parent.
company.
They clearly are not a parent. Yeah.
So Shark Tank is almost irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
We use it. If we're going to an expo, we have a sign that says as seen on Shark Tank because people are like, you were on Shark Tank? What was that like? And that gets people to talk to us.
Of course.
Sure.
But beyond that, it's just we're back to being a business.
But at least you have a couple new emails maybe from people you just can store in your Gmail just in case.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a great badge. It's a great resume builder.
Yeah, it's
it
great.
was a great experience.
One of my biggest interests is because I would love to see another business show take off. Like that one's been here. It's great. All of us enjoy it. It is great for marketing exposure. And if it does change people's lives, cool. But I'm like, isn't there another show? Like, what else are we missing? That's what
I want to do a show where you bring in 5 people who have an idea and they do their best to pitch their idea and show their like MVP, prototype.
Yeah.
And one of them wins an opportunity to have their hand held through the process and take it to market.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Love
Like
it.
more relatable of like everyday people. We all have ideas.
Yeah.
Most people don't know the first step or like don't do anything with it because I don't even know. What do I do first?
Right.
Like when you talk about product development, like I go down the path of who's doing the patent, who's trademarking the name,
There he is.
Who
And when
is
do you do these
outsourced?
things?
Yeah. Where are you getting production? Where's your tool and die shop that are making your molds? Is this going overseas? How are you protecting it from overseas? Who's doing the import export side of the business? All of that is
Such a lawyer.
massive. Yes.
Such a lawyer.
What's that?
I'm not sure
Such a
that one
lawyer.
would be watched, but we could put elements of that.
You're like, I'm not sure that would be watched except by
Cutting this-
the other lawyers of the world. But I think it's stuff
No.
that people need to know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's
Well, I think they do because I think if you made it a little more common language for everyone to know when, then it wouldn't
Right.
feel so daunting. Or we do have to go talk to an attorney, right? Or like it's
Yeah.
fun to talk with you because you're Matt, but not everyone gets to talk to a Matt. Let's be
I
real.
understand.
Yeah, I had a point where I was $16,000 in development only, no sales, nothing like that.
Okay.
It's just developing. And I talked to a patent attorney who said, well, what did the patent search show? And I was like, what do you mean patent search? What's that?
Oh no!
Oh, no.
Oh no!
He's like, how much have you spent on this so far? I was like $16,000. And my heart was just in my stomach. And he said, I would highly recommend that you pause for a second and conduct a thorough patent search just to make sure you're not infringing on anyone else's patent because just because you don't see it on the market. Because I told him I searched high and low everywhere, other countries. There is no other product like this. And he said, that doesn't matter. If someone has an issued patent and you make the product, they could end up taking every dollar from you because you're
Yep.
infringing on their patent. And the next week and a half until I had the patent search conducted and got the results, I was so scared that I was going to lose. Like it was all for nothing. All this
Right,
risk, all
right.
this money for nothing.
yeah.
But what ended up happening is I have a great patent attorney who's a great strategical guy. We found several other ideas that had been filed, none that had been written, or maybe one that had been written similar, but they didn't pay to like finish the process.
Sure.
And I think I paid $600 for this thorough patent search, which for me then was a huge investment. And then now I got to pay thousands of dollars more to write and submit a patent for something I don't even know if people are going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
But my patent attorney took all that information he found, worked it into the patent that we wrote, and I got my first utility patent written with 0 office actions issued in less than 9 months.
That's fantastic.
So now we have 12 patents, the utility patent in China. So we're covered. We've taken down hundreds of competing products on Amazon. It's
Wow.
been worth every penny. But in those early days, like trying to spend kind of money for that kind of work for something you don't know is going to be successful or not was really challenging.
Yeah, that's been the challenge. I know a lot of people in product development that when they went to outsource and they went to import export and you're dealing with, not to mention China, but other countries just in general, you're getting massive exposure and whatnot. And before you know it, it's all about how do you enforce your protection? You can protect it only as good as you want. But if you don't have the ability to enforce it, so that way, you don't have these ripoffs on Amazon and straight to consumers and whatnot. So good for you. Fantastic.
Well, let's get you wrapped up and get you back to your day. Tell me, what is one of the key lessons that you've learned as an entrepreneur? Maybe it's something you find yourself saying over and over, again and again.
Ooh, a key lesson is that honestly, nobody else knows what they're doing either. So just keep trying your best and do what you can with what you have now and ask for help.
Beth, how would you define your entrepreneurial success?
For my personal success, I'm seeing reviews every single day of parents who are happy that their life has been made easier with our products. I'm seeing the number of sales grow. So more people are finding out about it and having their lives made easier. So to me, the fact that people are now buying this thing that I had cut and glued together 5 years ago, and it's actually making their life easier and they're telling other people about it, that's the success.
Awesome.
I love that. Tell us, where's the number one place that people can find and connect with Busy Baby?
Busybaby.com. Amazon takes like 40% of every sale. So while it is really convenient and fun and easy to shop on Amazon, I do it myself. They take so much. And so when people just shop our website versus some other Walmart.com, Amazon.com, that helps our small business so much more.
And if there's a place that you like to hang out on social media or you interact with some of your clients and customers.
Yeah, we have Busy Baby Matt on TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. TikTok is on my phone. So if they're interacting with us on TikTok, they're interacting directly with me.
Wow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Beth. You were just absolutely inspiring.
Thank you guys. It's been fun.
Hey, it's Nicole, and that's the end of the interview. But stick around. This is the part where Matt and I break it all down and give you our favorite takeaways. Listen in. Matt, we just met with Beth, and that was pretty inspiring. I mean, just admirable in all of her efforts, that's for sure. Let's get into our quick takeaways here.
Yes, right off the bat, I got to tell you.
Yeah.
The retreat thing. Like, I was thinking of the three bears, right? In Goldilocks. And it's like, it's too hot. It's a little too cold. And like, this one's just right. When she talked about the timing of like, well, we would try to meet monthly, and we found that monthly was almost too much because you're still trying to run the business and whatnot. But if you wait to quarterly meetings to address certain things and bigger topics, it was just like 6 weeks. We found it was just the perfect amount of time. I also liked how she gave out how they run the meetings, what we celebrate, what have we actually done, what have we accomplished, what are these little things that are bothering us, and what are the things that, you know, we need to plan for and move on in the future. These are bigger overarching topics that are probably not done in those quick weekly little heads up meetings for management and ownership, you know?
Yeah, or worse, they are squeezed into those meetings, right? We're trying to do too much in some of the meetings where it's like meeting bloat, or like then we have to have like one-off conversations because we need to address something. Where instead, if we just had for our notes over here on the sidewall, for example, oh, we'll talk about that in 6 weeks. Number one, something may not be that big of a deal by the time you get to 6 weeks, right? It's something like you put off to worry about till next week and then you never have to worry about it again type thing. But two, you can approach the subject just like she said, like it's not like someone's bringing it up and it's a problem. It just, we're just addressing it all. I thought it could be a great time saver, even if it is taking you away for that day or 2 days or something. Not only time saver, but just talk about morale, like boosting morale, where we're headed. I thought that was great.
It was great. Yes. What else you got?
The second one is, it popped up for me that she did pitch competitions, but really just how she got really creative to finance that first $16,000 or $18,000 of product development, right? Like how she was going to figure out to make it happen. She was still working her job. She was doing these pitch competitions. How she was doing this also with 2 babies in tow, I don't know. But then also she talked about SBA loans. She was taking advantage of every resource she possibly could, even Bunker Labs, which then later opened the door for Shark Tank. But she just really got creative about how was she going to do it. And I think that's really, really important to hear for all of us. Like entrepreneurs try to figure it out before they even have to figure it out.
Yeah, I was sitting there thinking to myself, like 2 kids, working a full-time job, you're getting to go on to Shark Tank, all these things are happening. Oh, and then on top of it, you're driving and doing markets. She even said, like, I drove to every restaurant I possibly could, right? Like in my area. Like I'm saying to myself, my gosh, she is something else. She is amazing and so driven. But I will also say, I think there's a lesson there because I think a lot of us as entrepreneurs, we have the entrepreneurial seizure. You and I both talk about working for, as you call them, the Disney villains, right? We're in the corporate world and all of a sudden we're done with it. We'll never have a boss again. Yet I think she was so strategic with understanding she was going to need money to finance. She talked about the money she had to use for product development, things like that. Like it was just this idea that how she capitalized the entire business, whether it was staying employed, using her tax return money. I think it was just a good lesson in how to finance an entrepreneur, how to finance a startup that is.
Right. I mean, she even was bringing on her brother before she left the business.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another way that she got really creative on like, well, I'm still going to take care of my stuff.
Yep.
Last one, number 3.
Number 3, something about a break. I don't know. I think it was
the mom vacation.
Oh, that's what that was. Okay.
That 8-day stay at the Venetian. Oh my gosh. My goodness. Like I had that one 24-hour little stint in New York where I had all the mom guilt for like the first few moments of like, oh my gosh, what should I do? Should I get on a train? Wait, it takes the same 24 hours to travel on the train to get back home. But maybe that's what I should be doing, until I realized like, no, I can have some fun at this. But to think that she had 8 days of disconnecting from all those responsibilities, I even started just yesterday. It started for me. I started working a couple what I call retail hours for SmartCookie, where there's just a few hours I can take away outside of the office in the evening because we work different at different times of day. And just taking that 4 to 8 p.m. break, I mean, it was no 8 days, but just does something for you in separating where you are, where you work from all day long. And so I don't know if we can all sign up for 8 days, but my goodness, if anybody wants a mom retreat, business retreat, we'll find some speakers to inspire you, but just so you can get away, we'll figure that out over here for sure.
All speakers start at 10:30 and they're done by 2:30. So that way you have time to go to the spa afterwards. You can sleep in the mornings, read a book,
campfire,
go down the pool,
evening,
whatever.
right? Yes.
Exactly.
Right. No diapers and no potty training. No potty training.
Exactly.
There you go. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, folks, thanks for listening all the way to the end. You know what we always say? If you're listening,
Keep listening.
you've been listening to the Serial Entrepreneur Show, produced by the team here at SmartCookie Media.